On September 22, 1867, a small gathering of successful Milwaukee businessmen would alter the course of Milwaukee's Jewish community forever. All was not harmonious at the time, for they saw urgent needs that required immediate attention. Their goal? To contribute to the relief and maintenance of the sick and destitute people of the Hebrew faith. As we celebrate our 140th anniversary with the Leadership, Legends, and Legacies Gala, we pause to honor those leaders whose foresight and dedication to the health and welfare of Jewish life over the years has helped shape Jewish Family Services into the successful organization it has become. Since that fateful meeting in 1867, 32 different volunteer presidents have led the evolving agency, which has undergone 5 name changes to meet the changing needs of the community. But who exactly were those leaders? Industrious and determined, they included such stalwarts as Aaron Leppold, Philip Carpeles, Morris Miller, and Isaac Friend. Aid came in the form of money raised from charity galas and members of the Relief Society themselves, who would often deliver the money directly into the hands of those in need. Whenever possible, the Relief Society would encourage self-reliance as well as charity. All this would be put to the test in 1882, when relief efforts would dramatically shift toward resettlement. This was the time of the first great migration to America of Russian Jews fleeing tyranny and oppression. Hundreds of families would eventually find refuge in Milwaukee. As one local newspaper described the influx, "It has come to us like a whirlwind." By 1889, the Hebrew Relief Society would change its name to the Hebrew Relief Association. To continue in their relief efforts, the association would seek the cooperation and support of other Jewish organizations, thus paving the way in 1902 for the foundation of the Federated Jewish Charities, the forerunner to the Milwaukee Jewish Federation. During this period, local attorney Charles Friend would rise to prominence. New concepts such as a nursery school, adoption, vocational training, and psychiatric and family counseling would start to make their way into everyday life. The transition into a family and social service agency would take a clearer shape in 1922, when the association would rename itself the Jewish Social Service Association. This led to the foundation in 1923 of the Jewish Children's Home in Milwaukee. The Jewish Children's Home would eventually merge with the Jewish Social Service Association in 1948 to form the Jewish Family and Children's Service. By now, a new generation of Jewish leaders would emerge, many steeped in the legacy set forth by their forefathers. These included Leo Mann, Ralph Heilbronner, and Raymond Scribner. In 1950, Margaret Miller, one of the pioneers of the Planned Parenthood organization, would be elected as the first woman to serve as president of Jewish Family and Children's Service. Attorney Marvin Klitzner, who would be elected head of the agency in 1954. Other key figures who would make their mark were Saul Dorff, Donald Michelstetter, and Philip Barnett. A guiding force during these pivotal years was Rebecca Tannenbaum, who worked closely with these leaders to achieve the transformation of the agency. By 1964, the agency would purchase a building for a residential treatment home for emotionally disturbed adolescent boys. Agency president Phil Barnett and his late wife Ethel would serve as house parents at the home on Keefe Avenue.
Ethel and I have always been very pleased with what we were able to accomplish at the Milwaukee Jewish Children's Home.
As the agency entered the 1960s and 1970s, it would continue to transform itself into a modern social service agency, largely under the guidance of its executive vice president, Ralph Sherman. Ralph would pass on that guidance to Elliot Lubar in 1989, and Elliot would faithfully steer the agency through a whole new set of challenges. Other service areas would continue to grow as the agency attempted to reach out to all members of the community. Older adult services would expand with the addition of 4 full-time workers, and the Jewish Federation would open the Golda Meir House in 1981, with JFS providing case management for up to 150 residents. The addition of the Linkages program in 1998 ensured the continuum of care for adults and their families. Since 2003, JFS has maintained the quality of life for hundreds of family care clients annually through a partnership with the Milwaukee County Department on Aging. Young working Jewish families would have their child care needs met through the establishment of the Child Development Center. A volunteer services department would also be developed, which has since included hundreds of volunteers who have provided thousands of hours of direct and indirect service. In 1979, the agency would become state certified as an outpatient mental health facility by the Wisconsin Department of Health and Social Services. The agency established an exceptional needs department in 1983 with its stated goal to provide clients with the highest level of independence so they could enjoy the best quality of life.
Jewish Family Services did a great job in providing her with a wonderful psychologist who she's seen for the past 2 years.
The program would lease apartment units to provide housing and services for 8 developmentally disabled adults in 1985, which would eventually lead to the Habish House and the Lieberman Apartments. In 2001, Keshet officially became a part of JFS.
Keshet has been an incredible blessing in our life, and I can call it a miracle.
Once again, resettlement would come to the forefront of relief efforts in Milwaukee and elsewhere, starting in the mid-1970s, as Russian Jews were allowed to flee the Soviet Union for a better life.
Jewish Family Services helped my family, and now working in Jewish Family Services as the Vice President of Older Adult Services, I can give back to the community and help others. That's a great feeling of satisfaction in that.
By 1987, the agency would settle on its current title, which best fits what it's all about: Jewish Family Services.
I think people work here because regardless of how difficult, stressful, or frustrating a day may have been, no one leaves here wondering if what they did makes a difference.
That's because we are inclusive. Everyone is family. And Elliot Lubar's role as JFS Director from 1989 through 2005 cannot be overlooked in the success of the agency.
Well, my congratulations to Elliot, and to say how much fondness and respect I have for him.
Elliot has been a wonderful friend and colleague of mine, and I would describe him as passionate. He's passionate in everything he does.
I've always admired Elliot as a truly visionary leader. He has not only expanded the services that the agency provides, but I think has also been very concerned about the staff of the agency.
And what I always felt most proud of is that people talked about my dad in terms of his integrity and his passion. And that's something I think that a lot of us look up to him for.
I can't remember not knowing Elliot Lubar. Our paths have crossed personally and professionally for the last 40 years. And his positive guidance throughout my personal and professional life has been immeasurable.
In the words of Jerry Biller, past president and Capital Campaign Chair, Elliot was a pleasure to work with. He provided the ideal framework for his partnership with the Board of Trustees. He was a good listener, flexible, and he welcomed new and differing ideas and suggestions and often embraced them. Honest and open about the day-to-day workings of the agency, Elliot was never too busy to talk to anyone, staff, board member, client or colleague, or friend. He was and remains my very dear friend. As we celebrate our 140th anniversary, we are fortunate to still have among us 11 of our most recent JFS presidents. Today we give thanks to these dedicated leaders, people like Dory Chortek, Betty Lieberman, Joe Bernstein, Perry Freisler, Betsy Green, Jerry Biller, Howard Sosoff, Sue Freeman, J. Lewis Perlson, Phyllis Brenowitz. And we can't forget the contributions of Bob and Mimi Habish, who have given us their support on so many critically important projects, including the Habish House and the establishment of our new Jackson Street facility, as well as the creation and growth of our Exceptional Needs Program. It would have been unimaginable for our agency's founding leaders to predict the level and scope of services offered by today's JFS. We now offer such innovative programs as the Kids in the Middle, ongoing group therapy for children of divorce, counseling for victims of domestic violence, the Breakfast Club providing a social forum for adults with exceptional needs, infant bonding services for parents, and much more. What today's agency has in common with its past is the dedication and vision established by its leaders to meet the ever-changing needs that arise. And we have over 140 years of history to thank for that. Like a star whose light continues to shine long after its first appearance, the impact of the decisions of our agency's leaders, spanning 140 years, continues to impact us to this day. Their leadership has left us with a rich legacy that will serve as a guiding light for future generations.